Native American rock art sites are kind of endlessly fascinating for me. Every time I see them, it just takes my breath away because I guess it's sort of like walking back in time, hundreds, even thousands of years, and into somebody's living room, and on the coffee table is their diary. And all the pages are still legible, but it's written in an ink that I don't recognize, and I can't read the language. So it's a little mystery. And another thing that's sort of a mystery is, how do they last? Why do they stick to the rocks? Well, there's so much controversy about what they mean, who painted them, but a few of the things about them are not mysteries, and that is sort of how they were made and why they stay. And so I'm going to give a little demonstration of how American natives may have made their paint and why they stick to the rocks for so long and don't wash away with erosion. So here I have a couple of vials of iron oxide, and that would be ochre, yellow ochre and red ochre. These are the two most common colors you see in the West, at least, for native art, and also black. But I chose these two colors because black, lots of things are black. I mean, we know that paints are made from minerals, and lots of minerals on Earth are black. But how do they get colors? Well, iron oxide is one of the most commonly occurring minerals in the world, and it starts, at least the kind that we're talking about today, starts as yellow. When you take yellow iron oxide and you apply high heat, it turns red. So that's the paint. And then what do they do for a brush? Well, here in the West we have yucca plants, and yucca plants are very fibrous. So some people think that one of the brush tools may have been made from a yucca plant, and that would have been done by either taking a yucca leaf and chewing the end of the stem, or pounding the end of the stem, this. And you see how it gets really fibrous really quickly. So if you keep processing the leaf, it becomes like a brush. Now, something you can do with fibers like this is you could roll them up and place them in the body of a reed and tie the end off maybe with a string, and then you have a really nice brush to work with. So we'll give that a try. This isn't ideal because it's very wet and minimally processed as a brush, but that's okay. Now, as for how to get this into a fine paint. This is a mortar hole. This is a mortar hole that was made by the Chumash near where I live, and this would have been used for probably grinding acorns. And you would take a pestle like this, put your food or materials in the hole, and pound it down into a fine powder like this sand that's in the bottom here. Well, the same can be done with our iron oxide, but I am not going to be the one that stains this beautiful cultural site with my little project. So I've brought some modern mortar, or rather vessel, modern vessel, and I'm going to make a little bit of paint in my bowl here. It's definitely not going to be as finely ground as it would be if I processed it with my rock, but this is just an experiment. how do you make the paint? Well, I'm going to add water, but it's theorized that native peoples would have used fats, animal fats, mixed with their red ochre, yellow ochre, or they may have used yucca extract or yucca juice, because and the reason that they think that yucca may have been used is because the yucca contains some natural latex, which would bind to the rock and be waterproof. Not exactly sure how oil works. I mean, obviously oil is waterproof, but I'm not sure about its durability. I know that the Tongva Indians and the Chumash Indians used red ochre mixed with, it's not ochre, used red ochre mixed with oil and put it on their skin, and that's how the term Red Indian came into practice. Okay, now since my brush is so crude, I don't think I could paint much of anything with it. I brought my modern brushes. And I brought my own cave. Okay, so I'm gonna paint on my cave. Let's see. What shall I choose for a spirit animal? There we have it. That's my fox. Yeah, so that answers a few questions of how we make rock art, and there's only one more pressing question left to ask about my little fox.
What does the fox say?